Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. As usual, how's everybody doing today? I trust all's doing fine. We have numero uno in the chat from Brooklyn, New York. We've got AVQ in the house. We've also got Patrick Mackner from Houston, Texas in the house. Joe, we have from Joanne from Los Angeles, California. Michael Rudney in Brooklyn. We have Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. We have Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. Welcome aboard. I see, Michael, you got me some shorts that I'll play a little bit later. Those of you on Substack who wants to be called out or saluted or whatever, just go ahead and put your city and state. City and state, I like to call out where we're reaching, which is all over. Lisa Blair is here from Atlanta, Georgia as well. Hey, guess what, guys? I agree with Steve Bannon. What? I agree with Steve Bannon. Steve and Patrick, I think you're gonna like this because I don't think you have been completely you have been with me completely in what my status or stance is with AI. But Steve Bannon nails it, but I'm gonna explain it in a little bit before I get into the well, let me tell you what the program is gonna be about. William from Bill Hoke from Buffalo, New York. Hey, I was in New York last year. I went to a conference up in the Hudson Valley. Man, there are two New Yorks, man. It's so beautiful up there in that Hudson Valley. I can't remember the name of the resort that I went to. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We're talking about how to get people from different ideologies to get along. Had a great time out there in New York. It was completely different from the New York City that I've always gone to. Anyhow, the subject for today's show is, and let me go ahead and put that up here real quick, is going to be Donald Trump polled numbers. I'm going to play that in a little bit. We also have I have a video, an interview that MS Now did with this woman that was terrorized violently by ICE. And this is one of the better ones. I had another one that I was going to put out there, but it upset me so much that I kind of didn't want to do much about it. I didn't want to show it because it also messed with my. It would have made the program poor because I would get so infuriated even as I control myself. It would have been difficult. Anyway, remember, folks, coming in, if you want me to call you out, give me your city, state. Even if not, just give me your city, state, city and state. I like to see where people are all coming in from. And the last thing is a piece that I did. Well, I'm not, it's not a tape piece. I want to talk a little bit about Cuba because Magner brought it up. I've been looking at it for some time, but Magner kind of brought it up in a different light. And I want to cover it as well. Vicky, my beautiful Vicky Feedback, one of the leaders of Indivisible here in Kingwood. These women are my heroes. They go out there, and this has been a sleepy area. And they brought out for No Kings 2, they brought out over around 1,000 people. Great job. Like I said, just like they're doing in Minnesota to beat this damn government, so are they going to do around this country. I am absolutely sure we're taking this thing back. And not only back, but when we take it back, we are going to make we are going to make those who put us through this tribulation knowingly. Because look, a lot of these people are, yes, racist, yes, prejudice, yes, all these things. But, you know, we have that on our side. We have all of that out there. But the evil that they have inflicted, those that are in the know, they, after we get the country back, for the ones who broke the law, for the ones who harmed people, we have to make sure they pay. We have to make sure they pay. Anyway, so that last topic is going to be about uh, the actually it's four topics. I didn't even realize that, because I want to cover what AOC is doing in Germany as well. I think AOC may be contemplating running for president, and a lot of progressive, or not a lot of progressive, a lot of Democrats are, oh, if she runs, what is she going to do to us? Maybe she will come out and start talking about policies like the oil companies drilling in Colorado on public lands and taking out depletion allowances and paying the royalties they pay, they get right back in depletion allowances and all of that money that should be in the coffers. Maybe she'll talk about basic income, that all those farmers that now can't sell soybeans will suddenly see how that makes sense for me. Maybe she'll talk about family leave. Maybe she'll finally have the wing of the party that believes in humanity start to talk about issues that cover most people. Because with AI coming, it is something we better grab a hold of. So anyway, let's talk about Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon came out right out and said about AI. He and Bernie Sanders are thinking the same thing in AI, right? AI is going to take a lot of jobs. I've already told you guys that I use AI. I use AI to help in AI is like my assistant, right? But I agree that AI was done by all of us. The AI that I use, I pay for. Who does all the money that I pay for my AI goes to? It goes to these people that didn't create it. It goes to all these different these multi-billionaires that did nothing for the product, right? While AI, the raw material for the AI, guess what? I am looking at it right now. You guys, everybody who has ever written a message on Facebook, a message on Twitter, anybody who has written a paper anywhere, right? Anybody who's written anything anytime. My 5 books are on AI, and I can and put certain queries that actually brings up my book as the referencing document, right? So AI is you, everything that you've ever done, and all of you have some sort of knowledge, whether it is the knowledge knowledge of the scientist, the knowledge of the engineer, the knowledge of a woman writing a recipe or a man writing a recipe on their Facebook page, or whether it is you writing a random thought that makes a whole lot of sense that when mixed with the random thought of somebody else actually comes out with a logical conclusion, right? All of that is a part of it. All right. So what did Steve Bannon come out and say today, which I agree with? Uh, I don't think Bernie has quite said it yet, but he said AI must be 50% owned by us, or as some derivation thereof. I agree with him that we need to take AI out of the hands of the billionaires. But I want to talk about it being deeper. AI should be a public resource. I repeat, AI must be a public research. And you ask how? Well, AI is by definition a public resource. AI is by definition a public resource. If AI is controlled by we the people, and everything out of AI goes for we the people, let me tell you what the future could hold. The future could hold that, guess what? Uh, let's say we own 100% of the internet, and look at it now. That's the thing, Patrick. We don't own 100% of the internet. We don't. And sadly, I wrote about this back when we were talking about net neutrality. You know who owns the internet? Every single communication company owns the internet. The ones that own the routers, those aren't the routers is what runs the internet, right? If I open my closet here, you'll see all these routers and stuff. The routers that connects to is what is the internet, and all of that is owned by private sources. All of that is owned by private sources. So that is who owns the internet. We don't. We should. If you notice how I start my program in the mornings on KPFT, I said, and I talk about everybody receiving our signals via the magic of el internet, formerly known as ARPANET, created by whom? The DoD, and then sent out into the private sector for them to then control it, like we do with drugs. We develop the drugs at universities. When it looks viable, the private sector comes in. When the private sector comes in, they have us pay for it twice, even though we did it, right? We can also talk about the NASA. I work for NASA. I have software on the space station. All right. Here is the deal. We created all these things under NASA. And then who gets to capitalize on it? Musk and Branson and who else? Bezos. They monopolize on the things we created. What it takes is for us to take the government back, but we have to work on this together, right? When I talk about empowering people, when I talk about having to be engaged and us looking into the mirror and talking about we are worthy, people laugh sometimes and like, what you talking about? What I'm talking about is what capitalism has done is demean us into believing of a particular hierarchy. What you hear Dr. Wolf and Bernie and these others talk about is that we are in a collective. Now, Bannon doesn't believe in a collective, but finally, when he sees what AI is going to do to us, a collective he supports. It's amazing, isn't it? But anyway, so what I do believe is that we have to find a way to put AI into the collective. Do you lie? Who gives me a hard time all the time in the chat? Welcome aboard. Do you lie? I am acknowledging you, sir. And by the way, you actually gave a great contribution to KPFT this morning. I want to thank you for that. But I am completely disappointed that you're just spewing and not listening to what I am trying to put out there. Patrick says, I agree that is privatization. The commons built it, then a group of billionaires steal it. Exactly. And that's the issue. That's the issue, my brother. That's the issue. All right. So as you can see, where I stand in AI is we ought to work for AI to be a public utility. That's what we must be working towards. AI as a public utility. And as Bannon say, it is something that we're going to have to fight for. LBW, La Profesora from Kingwood, Texas is in the house. Thank you for being here, my beautiful, beautiful Profesora. Astarion is here with us as well. Thank you for being here. And anybody else who want me to call them out, please put your city and state. If I missed you, forgive me. If I missed you, forgive me. All right, let's go to the first video. I think I have it queued up already. The poll numbers, Trump's poll numbers are looking beautiful. Beautiful. If we expect to win in November, this is what it's going to be. And this is what it's our starting point. Well, it seems like Donald Trump's poll numbers are cratering even further. And when you take a look at the internals, it looks horrendous. The question is the rest of the party going to go down with Donald Trump? The answer is actually pretty simple, right? Of course. Of course. But of course, it means that people have to do the work that they need to do. They can't just take it for granted. But all the signs are lining up for those who want to work hard to earn back the people. Check out what, check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
In the polls that you were talking about, showing President Trump's approval rating taking a hit amid overwhelmingly unpopular immigration and deportation operations. At some point, we need to talk about these so-called detention centers, which
they're
have another word.
They're not detention centers; they're internment camps, and they're building these internment camps all over the United States. And if anybody in the White House is stupid enough to think people are going to allow internment camps in their communities and that it's not going to cause, you think you can stop people from taking pictures, from visiting. It's just going to make the situation worse. These internment camps will end up being another devastating blow politically to Republicans. And I'm just wondering who's running things in the White House, that they would put internment camps or try to put internment camps all over America. Roger Wicker, powerful Republican from Mississippi, already said, we don't want internment camps in our state. We'll see.
We're covering a lot of stories of people who are getting stuck inside those. Nobody can find them. People, pregnant mothers not getting the care they need, abuse, and a lot of lawmakers being denied access to be able to see what's happening in there. So this is another piece of this ICE puzzle.
It all feeds into this. There need to be changes in the White House or these numbers will continue to collapse.
So according to the latest AP NORC poll, his approval rating stands at 36%. That's down 4 points from just last month. A year into President Trump's second term, 3 new polls show more voters now say Joe Biden did a better job as president than Donald Trump. A Harvard-Harris poll found 51% of registered voters say Trump is doing a worse job than Biden versus 49% who say he's doing better. The latest Rasmussen poll found 48% of likely voters say Biden did a better job as president compared with 40% who chose Trump.
First of all, Joe Biden is absolutely loving this. Donald Trump's absolutely hating this right now. And again, it's self-inflicted because so many of these policies that are being pushed end up accruing to the president's detriment.
And a new YouGov Economist poll found that 46% of U.S. adults say Trump is doing a worse job than Biden, compared with 40% who say he's doing better. So Axios frames it this way, quote, Trump's net approval on the economy is 26 points lower than it was at this point in his first term, and 53 points lower among independents,
never see numbers
according
like that.
to CNN polling analyst Harry Enton. Young voters have cratered. The YouGov Economist poll found Trump at minus 42 net approval among 18 to 29-year-olds, a, get this, 51-point swing from the start of his presidency.
So yes, the poll numbers says quite a bit, but of course, Donald Trump lives in La La Land. He says the economy is the best it's ever been. He says inflation is low. Today, the inflation report came out. The inflation report is a bit dubious, but again, it was mitigated by a drop in price in oil. But let me tell, well, from the time that they recorded it, we'll see what happens next month. But people are going to the grocery stores. People are buying stuff, and they can see what things really cost. But they also can see that they have a clown as president, and many are starting to wake up. My only question is the following. Who are those 36% that think he's doing a good job? I can understand the billionaires, but they make up less than 1%. Who the hell are the 36% that think this guy is doing anything positive, anything good for this country? I guess cultness, I guess certain ideological sections in our brain would have us believe anything. Absolutely. So, Vicky, I have an answer for you. What do I think about Gallup discontinuing the daily presidential poll? It is a it is a say it's what we have media companies doing. I should call it is what we have corporate media companies doing throughout this country right now. And what are they doing? They are acquiescing to whatever the president wants. The president doesn't like his poll numbers now. And Gallup runs a tracking poll. So every day he gets up in the morning and he has to pull out Gallup because he's obsessed. How am I doing? How am I doing? And Gallup has him with poor polls. So he complains. And since Gallup does a whole lot of other polling that I bet the government buys a whole lot of the polling from Gallup, I don't know that for a fact, but I can almost infer that. They said, we made a business decision not to keep a presidential tracking poll anymore. And that is terrible because just like Bezos acquiesced to the president when he didn't, well, he acquiesced to what he thought was coming when he didn't allow his editorial staff to endorse Kamala Harris, just like Kim who owned the Los Angeles Times did the same thing. That is the mainstream. Just like CBS did not allow them to show the 60-minute piece, just like CBS changed anchors and CBS has pretty much create havoc in their newsroom in the station, just like ABC acquiesced and paid him $16 million. I mean, what we see is corporate America acquiescing to the president. They're pretty much bending the knee to the president, which means you cannot fully trust what you're seeing, and that is where you have what I continue to tell folks. That is where independent media has to do the job now. There's no if buts or whatever. It is the job of independent media to fill that domain and also to reinterpret what's coming out of the mainstream media. There are good people working in mainstream media, great people working in mainstream media. Okay? Now, you have to realize that a lot of them still want to come out and tell what's happening. I mean, they don't get a chance to put the spin that they would like to put on it. And that's where we come in. We don't have the budget. Independent media don't have the budget to fly on Air Force One or to stand outside of the Pentagon and see who's going in and out and all of that. We don't have that. But there are a lot of people in the mainstream media that will use the corporate media's money to go out there and get information and drop it to select folks in independent media or drop it anonymously on Twitter, places that we know to get to, or on even more secluded areas like Tumblr, etc., to let us be able to come out and still provide that information. But that's why we all, I mean, this is self serving what I'm going to say now, but that's why we always say you have to keep us funded. Because, again, a lot of this stuff that you're going to hear, I gave a little thing on Cuba right now. We make a lot of mistakes. We make a lot of mistakes. We, the population, make a lot of mistakes because we are not accurately informed. We got Donald Trump again because of the corporate media and because of not only the corporate media, of course, but because of a Democratic Party who doesn't well, they do understand the fight, but they have to reserve the fight in such a manner that they don't offend the plutocracy. You know who can offend the plutocracy? We can. We can. We can offend the plutocracy. They refuse to do it. Let's see what else we have here. I think before I go to the other video, let me see what Brother Radnin brought me in videos here. Media versus climate science. We also have Pat Bondi discussing. I'm going to leave the Pat Bondi alone right now. The voter fraud I do want. Let's go ahead and do that voter fraud one. Let's go ahead and do that. I am going to make some assumption. I trust you, my brother, so I'm going to make some assumption and play that right now. Para ver cómo lo hago. Lo hago por aquí, ahorita mismo. All right.
Question for Republican voters, and I'm going to keep this simple. Go ahead and stitch me if you want to. You and your Congress people are trying so hard to pass the SAVE Act, which would require citizenship in order for people to register to vote. And it's because for years you guys have been claiming that millions of undocumented immigrants are flooding across the border to go vote for Democrats, I guess. And the SAVE Act would require millions of people to have to re-register to vote, including you. Many boomers who are the core of the Republican Party's voter demographic do not have that information. And this equates to a poll tax, a tax on voting. Why do you still think that undocumented immigrants are voting by the millions, even though it's already illegal for them to do that, when according to a 40-year database from the Heritage Foundation themselves, they found just 68 confirmed cases of undocumented immigrants attempting to vote over the course of the last 40 years? Why do you still support the SAVE Act and its massive voter suppression if that claim about undocumented immigrants is flagrantly, provably wrong?
You know, and let me just say something, because you have to bend yourself in knots. You have to disregard every bit of intellect or intelligence you have to believe that an undocumented person is going to go and in any kind of mass go out to the voting booth to vote. That person would be mentally ill if they did that, because that is one place where they would leave a track that would likely give them, because what do you need again? Every single voter is tagged with an address. Every single voter is tagged with an address. So in effect, what you would be doing is giving up your address. The level of interaction you have to go with your brain to believe that that is something to be concerned about is crazy. But let me do tell you, every so often they find somebody performing voter fraud. Here in Texas, we found a few. Every single one of them Republican. In Pennsylvania, we found a few. Every single one of them Republican. These guys are always complaining about what they fear is going to happen. And every time they find somebody guilty of that, Republican, you remember they were talking about that Biden was building internment camps, and they had their entire MAGA base concerned about internment camps. Um, let's wake up now. Who is going around the entire country building these camps? It is Donald Trump, a Republican. And I wrote an article, folks. It's long, and I hope you read it. It's on. I'm going to go ahead and throw it into the. I'm going to throw it into the. Where is it at? I'm going to throw it into both chats. It's titled "The Upcoming American Holocaust," and for those who still kind of don't get what I'm talking about AI, or think that I don't understand what AI is actually doing, that article I think sets that straight. But the article is titled "The Upcoming American Holocaust: Connecting Billionaires, AI, ICE, and Trump's Concentration Camps." It is so important. That article, I finished it probably 2 o'clock this morning. Please read it. Please share it. It has a lot of I did a lot within the thought process on that one. All right, let's see what else my brother Radnin has. Minimum wage versus productivity. This one have music. I can't do it. Uh, let's see. Is it just graphics or something? I don't know. Let's see the other one that you put up there. Para ver, para ver, para ver, para ver, para ver. Media and climate science 135. I think that one is probably a good one for me to go ahead and put out there. Let's go ahead and do it, Radin. Let's do the one with climate, especially since Donald Trump went ahead and made that change. So I'll play that one for the audience. And guys, when I play these TikTok videos, please go ahead and give these people that a little look, okay? I'm going to put the article. I just put the article in the text. Can you provide the article? I'll throw it back in again. All right, folks, check this one out, and then we'll take it on the other side. And by the way, as you can see, we're pretty interactive here. We want to be talking to all you guys. And you can give me a call, 281-823-7747. Here it is.
Is lying to you about net zero. Newspapers attacking climate science is a tale as old as time, but as of 2025, not a single editorial in a UK newspaper opposed the validity of climate science. Wait a minute, bring that title back? Ugh. We're not done yet, are we? Because according to the same analysis, the number of editorials opposing climate action outweighed editorials promoting climate action for the first time in 15 years of observations. So the media stopped attacking climate science, but started attacking climate solutions, notably net zero, more than ever. What's going on? Well, here's the secret. A bunch of newspapers, notably right-wing newspapers like these ones, are still against climate science. But they realize they can't say that anymore. People just see through attacks on climate science for what it is, being bought out by vested interests like the fossil fuel industry. So they found a workaround, which is to attack net zero, our one and only solution to the climate crisis, instead. They're doing this by claiming that net zero, which really becomes code for everything these newspapers don't like, is too expensive. And they focus on the economics, like the forecasts of the UK Climate Change Committee, which estimated that the balanced pathway towards net zero would cost 0.2% of our country's GDP. But these papers will then ignore the cost of business as usual, and the costs of climate change, estimated to be 1.1% of GDP now, going up to 3.3% of GDP by 2050 and up to 7.4% by the year 2100, if we carry on as we currently are. Ignoring some of these costs would suggest that these papers don't care about climate change, or that they have some ulterior motive for convincing their readership, notably right-wing politicians, that climate change is a non-issue. Some omissions are subtle, but others are just outright lying. Like many newspapers are currently blaming net zero for recent increases in UK energy bills, while the UK's high energy prices are because our pricing system is so tied to the price of gas. This comes up time after time. How many studies have to come out that show this? Spreading lies, spreading doubt. We've seen this playbook before. It's exactly what they used to do to attack climate science. But now that attacking the existence of climate change is indefensible, they've had to separate out net zero from climate change, the solution from the problem. They haven't changed their opinions. They've just changed their angle of attack. The media is lying to you about
Oops, let's get it. Michael, that one had a little bit of music on it, so, but again, it doesn't seem like it'll be too bad. We'll see what happens there. All right, folks, I got another video for you. This one is with the woman who said, whose video we could see the thuggish, animalistic behavior of ICE with her. Let's go ahead and play that, and then we'll take it on the other side. Okay, here we go. It is dreadful. ICE recently terrorized a disabled young woman who was in her car going to an appointment as they drug her out of her car like an animal. And they treated her like an animal. Well, of course, what it really showed is they themselves are nothing more than thugs and animals. Well, she got a chance to speak to Congress, but she was interviewed today, and I want you to listen to what she had to say. It is sad. This is today's America. You know, yeah, I tell you what, let's listen to this, and then I'll get back with the other piece.
The Trump administration may have just announced the end of Operation Metro Surge, but for Minneapolis residents who dealt with federal immigration agents, they're just beginning to deal with the trauma left behind, including Aaliyah Rahman, a disabled U.S. citizen who was dragged from her vehicle by ICE agents last month while on her way to an appointment at a nearby traumatic brain injury center. And this is now viral video. And in it, you can hear her say she has a disability and autism as agents smashed her passenger side window, pushed her to the ground, and took her into federal custody. Aaliyah testified before Democratic lawmakers last week about what she experienced before waking up in the hospital.
I was denied a communication navigator when my speech began to slur. Agents laughed as I tried to immobilize my own neck. I asked for my cane and was told no, pulled up my arms and prodded forward in leg irons by agents laughing and saying, "Walk, you can do it, walk." The last sounds I remember before I blacked out on the cell floor were my cellmate banging on the door, pleading for a medic, and a voice outside saying, "We don't want to step on ICE's toes."
We showed that video again. What goes through your mind watching that back now, and now knowing federal agents are now leaving your city?
Yeah, I mean, these are people who assaulted me and then dumped me in a cell and denied me medical care until my cellmate put herself in danger to bang on that door and make sure that they got me out of there. Sorry, it affects my speech when I talk about this. But I take no comfort from the idea that someone who brutalized me has now turned to my sister and said, "Your turn." I mean, I think that if you don't live in Minneapolis or Minnesota, really the state, or if you're not from a community that has been brutalized like this by masked men for generations, you may not feel the thing that we kind of feel, right? And I don't even feel what a lot of those folks feel. I'm the first generation of my family to be brutalized by masked men who called themselves law enforcement, right? I'm not from an indigenous family who's had everything taken from them and dealt with this incarceration too, right? But may I just set the scene here of what this is really like? So,
please.
Yes. So, my friends, imagine this. Say you live in a neighborhood and you've heard stories that there is a roving band of violent masked men with guns who come to people's houses sometimes and brutalize people. And you know that those folks have not been held to account. And then one day they break into your house, they smash everything, tie you up, shoot 3 of your family members, kidnap your kids. And then they walk out the door and say, "I'm going next door." And for me, every month is Black History Month. And we need to learn from lessons of the people who taught us. When you don't have accountability, it will keep happening. And I think if you've watched people from Minnesota on the street, why would we stop defining neighbor as the person right next door to us? I'm not okay with this in any way.
You testified that this arrest and your detention have had severe impacts on your mental, physical, and financial well-being. Can you tell us more about what you personally faced while being held inside that Whipple building what happened after the video when you were dragged from your car, and how are you recovering from that, what you experienced physically?
Yeah, well, 2 days ago, I had to go to the doctor to get a nerve block, chemicals injected into my head to stop the shooting electrical pain that goes through my neck and head constantly, which is what will happen to you so I went to the ground 2 times in that video. The second is behind my car a little bit later, and people were on top of me. The whole time I'm yelling, I have a brain injury, right? And it's a month later, I still can't raise my arms normally, and I do not sleep well. I definitely don't sleep well after I heard Mr. Homan's announcement yesterday, right? But the thing is this, you asked me what I remember from what happened after the video inside that center. It's not me. It's not me. It's horrific scenes in there. Horrific scenes. There are Black and brown people shackled and chained together, walking around in lines being marched outdoors by agents who call us all bodies. And I hear that these folks want to buy a warehouse in the town near you, America, so they can do this to more of us. If you want an immigration system, cool. These are not the people to run it. It has to stop. And I was taunted for my disability. I asked for a cane or a wheelchair, and I was pulled up by injured shoulders, prodded forward and told, "Walk, you can do it, go on." There are just lines of people, and there are people asking for water. I ended up on the floor of a cold concrete cell that has no toilet, no bed, no blanket, none of that kind of stuff. I asked for a lawyer, a phone call. And the thing is, I don't believe I deserve better treatment than any other person. Certainly not. Not because I'm an American citizen, not because of anything else. But supposedly, the people who say they're trying to keep our America safe, supposedly they do believe that. And if they did this to me, we're not safe. We're not safe. This can't go on.
Aaliyah, after your arrest, the Justice Department, or it was the DHS, I should say, put out a statement calling you an agitator and saying that you obstructed officers by refusing to move your car.
I have not been contacted by them. I have not been charged with the crime, but they did take the opportunity to harass me over X 3 days after I testified. Think about that. And the fact that that post is still up makes me think they haven't caught on to the grave error they made in it. And here's what I have to say. You know, that video, that's where they put my car. I was driving down Park, right? You can't even see how they have the road blocked in that video. But they saw what they did to me on international media and video. It's there now, right? And instead of apologizing, they chose to harass me. And that's a big mistake. I don't believe that it is my duty to fight for my freedom. It is my duty to fight for our freedom. And the thought that they're going to do this kind of stuff to other people is absolutely unacceptable. Mr. Homan has just announced something he called an end. But what it really is, if you don't read that sentence and you look at the rest, is that he's sending a roving band of thugs to brutalize people in other towns without any change to how they operate. I don't even know the names of the people who did that to me or who did this to all the other people, because let's be honest, mine is the best case scenario. I got out. I got to come to my neighborhood. The reason I'm speaking out here is not for me. It's because I know they're going to keep doing this, and that we have been doing this for 400 years in this country. It's time for this to be over.
It's amazing how they treated her. It's amazing that with cameras on them, they felt no reason. They felt no shame to continue doing what they're doing. That is a barefacedness with how they operate. But I tell you what, if we don't do something about this, as the Minnesotans did, I'm so proud of the Minnesotans. These guys were out there every day. They were a community. They helped each other out, even outside of ICE, etc. They did what it would take to get this taken care of, and the entire country is going to have to learn how to do that. Otherwise, a part of this article that I wrote late this morning at about 2 o'clock this morning, I guess it was around that time, titled "The Upcoming American Holocaust: Connecting Billionaires, AI, ACE, and Trump's Concentration Camps." When you get a chance, check it out. Egberto.substack.com or politicsandright.com/newsletter, and check out the article because it gives two scenarios. One is if we just coalesce to the president what he wants. The other is what we must do to get out of this ridiculous state that we're in. Absolutely. So, Patrick Magner, thank you for that super chat that you gave online on YouTube. It is people like you allow me to do what we're doing here, brother. Thank you very much. Okay, caller from digits ending in 9338. How you doing? Your name?
This is Brother Harry Denson. This is not my regular number. My phone went out. I'm getting a new phone. This is Brother Alan Denson's phone, and
from
I sent this
Texas.
in the chat. Yes, I sent this in the chat, Roberto, a little while ago, and I'm gonna piss some people off that watch this show, but I don't care. I'm gonna answer your question. When you played the video of Joe Scarborough, the 36% that approve of the job that convict Trump is doing with his economic and political policy agenda. Those, you asked the question, who are these 36%? Well, I'm going to name some of them. Lee the Grant, Mike Sesek, Eric Hayes, and Lee the Bearcat. Those are the deluded, or what you would say mentally ill, people that you are trying to get through to them that you made a mistake supporting Orange Man, and so now you need to realize and get with the progressives and get a blue wave in November. As I said yesterday on your show in the afternoon, we have got to have a blue wave so that and even if the Democrats don't have enough votes in the House and in the Senate, the Republicans need to do the right thing and vote to impeach and replace and remove. Now, I know we'll be stuck with that Vance, but he'll be lame duck. And then hopefully in 2029, we can get somebody back in there, a progressive, that will turn this country around and help people and help Americans that need help. What do you say about that, Professor Willits?
Professor, my dear brother Harry, I can't argue with anything that you've said. Okay. And not only that, you've said
I
it with
know.
so much passion. Thank you for calling, my brother, and thank you for listening. Please always remember to share what we do here. The
Well,
podcast comes out a little bit later. Thank you, my brother. You
I'll
have a
have my
great
new
day.
phone up. I'll have
All
my
right.
new phone up and my old phone number back. Have a good weekend, and tell your wife and your daughter she's doing a good job teaching those kids and getting them out and protesting, like you said on one of your earlier shows. I like the job they're doing. Tell them I said hi.
Thank you very much, Harry. You have a wonderful rest of your day, my brother. Take care. All right, folks. Let's see what else we got here. Joe says, not mentally ill. They act from a place of hubris and denial, a fear of self-accept. I think a lot of times it's from a, and I say this with respect, but I think it's from a sense of inadequacy. There are these people that believe that somebody is coming to take their birthright away. I think some people believe that they have an inalienable right to be better than others. I don't believe that for one. I believe in true equity. I believe in true equity, right? And we have been, a lot of this has to do with how we've been taught. Let me give a good example before I jump into Cuba. When we make statements like we are exceptional, here we are, 5% of the world, 4%, 4 point something percent of the world, and we go and we tell everybody that we meet we are exceptional, and the excuse that we use is that everybody wants to move here. First of all, everybody doesn't want to move here, right? Secondly, capitalists want to move here. They don't move here because they have a good social safety net. They don't move here because they think they're going to have a good healthcare system. They don't move here for those reasons. They move here, in the case of laborers, they move because they were displaced. They moved because they were displaced. My dear brother Ray, come on in. How you doing?
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. Good. I just want to say thank you, Brother Harry Benson. You always speak my heart. I basically was gonna say I was gonna call in and say what you said, but I didn't. I wasn't gonna take the liberty of actually giving the names of those people. But the same people that you mentioned, when you had played that video, Egberto, I was like, yeah, they're listening to the show right now, those 36% of people. And, you know, it really reminds me of one of my favorite comedians when he said, it was actually the name of his special. I don't know, Ron White. But he said, you know, you could put all this information in front of people. Look, people are going to be who they are. And unfortunately, as much money they could have, as much education you can shove in front of their face, you can't fix stupid. That's the
That's
favorite
true.
way of
Yeah.
saying it.
I,
And
I
some
you
people
know,
just want to be stuck on stupid, you know?
well, I don't quite address my audience like that, but I get what you're saying. The thing about it is, I find it real sad. I find it real sad that let's give an example. Let's say you had a daughter, and you teach your daughter how to make herself respectable, and to make sure that no man believe he has more value than she does. You make sure that she is always respected by men. That's how I reared my daughter. I reared my daughter in such a manner that she didn't feel herself superior to any man, but no man could feel superior to her. And also, she was not going to just assume that men get away with things. Okay. Now, if you teaching your kids that, and we teach our girls how to do things, how in heaven's name can you then tell your daughter you are voting for Donald Trump? Somebody that holds on to their crutch because he thinks he's entitled to do so. Someone that so disregards women that he thinks he's entitled to do these things. How can you be a good dad? You cannot be a good dad and tell your daughter that you voted for this guy after knowing what this guy did with young girls, etc. You know what he did. You cannot be a good dad doing that. Okay? At all. That's it. Anyway, anything else before I jump to? What I'm going to do is I'm going to just play the piece I did on Cuba from the chat from the because I think I did it in 3 minutes. So let me go ahead and do that. Ray, thank you for calling. Okay, my brother.
All right. One super last thing. I
Yes.
heard, I think it was Charlie Kirk or Nick Fuentes, one of them said, we got to be careful of these liberals because one of them said, I like liberals because liberals are willing to talk to you and they're not going to shut you out when you have a difference of opinion. But I hate the left because the left they don't basically give you any space to be who you are and
Oh,
have a disagreement without basically shutting you down. And you know what? That's what I would see. Gavin Newsom is a liberal, but unfortunately, he might be the best chance we have at getting this country back in order. But we
let
could
me
have
tell you,
that conversation another day.
we definitely will, and
I'm
it's.
good.
I'm glad that you said that. I'm glad that you said that. I am voting for the best chance to win at that period. That's what I'm voting for when we get there. So thank you, my brother. We talk. We talk tomorrow. Okay, take care. All right. Let me just say this. David Page Ye says, Egberto, environmentalists cite science which proves that all mass migration's root cause is climate crisis. For example, Somalia used to be able to grow its own food. That's no longer possible. Also, we have a lot of the type of agriculture that the Western world introduced into Africa to get massive amounts of food out of little. It's amazing, and in the process, their form of doing food production has changed. So there's a whole lot that goes into that. But let me see if I can find the little piece I said on the notes on Cuba because I really want to. I really want to do that. And Magner, thank you for kind of like forcing me to bring up the Cuba issue because it's in the background right now and you know how that is. So, I by the way, folks, for those of you who don't know, I love the show to be interactive, meaning I read my chats. I get so much in the chat, I miss a lot, but I read it. And there are times that you tell me certain things that I want to put out there. You can call in, and not only you can call in, but for those of you who may want, who have a big message to say, I also interview. I just saw that Dr. Eric Lalove just came in. Eric Lalove had a great story to tell. We made that great story into a podcast. We have several others in the chat right now that we've interviewed and turned into great podcasts because again, that is how we do things on the collective. I am just going to play what I did on the chat today because uh, I think I did it concise enough as far as Cuba is concerned. So let me go there and do it, and then I'll come right back. Here we go with it. Let's see. Let's start it again. Come on, Egberto.
Sanctity of life. We just went into Venezuela. We like to consider ourselves a moral country, a country that believes in the sanctity of life. We just went into Venezuela, knocked them out and, well, knock things out. And now Venezuela is unable to send oil to Cuba. What that means in Cuba is that a lot of people are going to have a hard time. They're going to have a hard time carrying products from the farms to the cities, which means people will be stressed out. They'll be hungry. Some people likely will die. But we're a moral country. We've been doing real harm to Cuba for a long time just because Cuba decided that they didn't want to have the particular economic system that we have. Interestingly, when Castro overthrew Batista, he first came to the United States. Didn't go to Russia. Came to the United States with the expectation that they could work together to have a better country. Yes, albeit they would be a more socialist country on the order of, let's say, Sweden or the others. But we said no, we just couldn't have it. Our plutocracy just couldn't have it. And for that, they paid the price of being blockaded, even as we had done businesses with many other countries that really did wrong by their people. Look, let me tell you something. When Cuba was run by Batista, anybody who looked like me, they swept floors, danced, or sang. When Castro came into power, irrespective of all the problems that Cuba has, people like me, I'm from Central America, Panama, but again, if I were Cuban, these people became, folks like me then became doctors, engineers, lawyers. Cuba became such a good country in self-sustenance and maintaining itself that it actually exported engineers, doctors around Africa, the Caribbean, Central America, and Latin America. What we are doing to Cuba is inhumane. And this policy, Obama tried to arrest this policy for some time, but what we have been doing has been terrible and immoral, and I hope more people will try to learn about the kinds of things that we do in Latin America and elsewhere when people decide we're just not going to do it the American way.
Absolutely so, folks. And a lot of times we sit back and not really understand why is it that our government would tell us they don't like us. It's never the truth. It's never the truth that they don't like us. The truth is they don't like what our government does over in their lands, and they don't like what our corporations do. Our corporations really maintain, for all practical purposes, I call employees in the United States antiseptic slaves. I call those working for many corporations in Africa, in the bauxite mines in Jamaica, and all of these slaves. Okay, and I know it's a bit shocking, but my God, we have to get to the point. Elizabeth Raven is from Caracas, Venezuela. How you doing, Elizabeth? She says, I'm so angry about not being able to send them oil, but we'll keep trying and we'll help in many ways. Well, as I was told by another activist out of Caracas, Venezuela, they are trying to find workarounds to get around that blockade that Trump has in the Caribbean so that they can get some oil around. Let me tell you what hurts me with Cuba, and this is a failure of the international community. The international community together, if they work together, the United States couldn't act independently. Of course, there's BRICS now, which puts SWIFT I tell you what, that's another subject and too complicated to talk about right now. If anybody have questions about SWIFT, BRICS, and how the stuff is changing, please tell me you want a program on that. I'll do that. But right now, I got to get out of here because we're up to 1 hour now. But here, guys, please remember that we need your support. We need subscription, subscription, subscription. These are inexpensive subscriptions so that we can continue to do this and inform. We don't only do this program at 3, we also do one at 6 a.m. Central in the mornings, where we are also on air at KPFT 90.1 FM. And of course, we write a lot of articles. The articles that I ask you to read today, please read that article that I put in the chat earlier today, or just go to my site, egberto.substack.com. I think it's an important article, and I think it's an article that can give us that oomph to get things done as well. How can you, if you are not on Substack right now, just go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Please consider becoming a paid subscriber. If you are on Substack right now, you can either do that link that I just gave you or click on that subscribe button and become a paid subscriber. Look, I promise you 16 hours a day to make sure that we get this stuff out. I love it. It's the dedication of the rest of my life. I want to thank all of you that are listening. I want you to, if you have something to tell me specifically, info@politicsdoneright.com. Sometimes it takes me a couple of days to get to it because my inbox is horrendous, but I get to it. Info@politicsdoneright.com. If you have suggestions for shows, info@politicsdoneright.com. Whatever it is that you want to tell us, Let us know, my brothers and my sisters. Love you all, including you, MAGA guys. I'm telling you, I will continue to try. I will continue to try. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know exactly how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.